Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour à tous. J'espère que vous allez bien. Welcome to French Action, the channel where you learn French, but also the channel where you practice your French. Today, we're not going to practice our French at all today, not at all. However, we're going to do something which is as important, which is to talk about the TAPIF program. Okay, so it's a program which has been going on for a long time, and it seems that some people are not aware of it. So we are going to tell you all about this program, and that is for those who can speak French. And as you know, when I do my lives, I don't do it on my own. I have a special guest who is going to answer all my questions. She's the expert. All right? So let's see if she's there. Ah, bonjour.
Jenny, comment ça va?
Ça va très bien. Et toi? Comment ça va,
merci. Je ne sais pas si je suis experte, mais je vais faire de mon mieux.
Je sais que tu es une experte, ça, je le sais. Alors, we are going to speak English today, all right? Okay, sorry about this. We always speak French, but now I have to remind her that we need to speak English because, the program is for people whose level of French is not very high. So, we want to ensure that you understand everything. Okay, so,
Yes.
So first of all, can you say a few words about you? Who are you?
My name is Soyini Ashby-Bennett. I'm an instructor of French at the University of the West Indies, and I am the local recruiter for the teaching assistant program in France.
Mm-hmm. Okay, did you hear what she said? She's the local recruiter. So let's ask her a few questions. So you keep talking about the TAPIF program, but can you tell us what TAPIF stands for?
Okay, so TAPIF, TAPIF, stands for Teaching Assistant Program in France. It's a mouthful, so we prefer to say TAPIF.
Okay, all right. So remember, it's Teaching Assistant Program in France. So obviously from that, you already have an idea of what it is about. Can you tell us a little bit more about this program, please?
It's a program that is organized by France Education International, or we call it FEI. And that is a branch of the French Ministry of Education, which deals with overseas examinations and sending French speakers abroad to help teach French and bringing speakers of other languages to France to assist with teaching of those languages in France. So it's a program that allows young people, and we'll talk about the definition of young shortly, to go to France to assist local teachers with teaching English in primary and secondary schools. You would have, if you participate in the program, you would have a 7-month contract run from the 1st of October to the 30th of April. And you would teach for 12 hours per week. And as I said, you would be the assistant. You're not the main teacher. So you would have a main teacher who would tell you what topics you need to do. They may give you specific activities, or they may ask you to come up with activities, but it's not all on your head.
Okay. So did you hear? You're not going to be the main teacher, so don't panic, okay?
Right.
So, who can benefit from this program at this point in time?
Okay, to be eligible for the program, first of all, you must be a native speaker of English, because that's the point. They want to expose their students to the people who speak the language from birth, native speakers. In order to apply through the program, through me, so to speak, you have to be a national of Jamaica or the Bahamas. I'm the local recruiter for Jamaica and the Bahamas. If you are a citizen of another country, you can go to the FEI website and find out where to apply based on your country of origin. Now, for Jamaica and the Bahamas, you also have to be between the ages of 20 and 35, hence the definition of young. You need to have done at least 2 years of tertiary study. And by tertiary study, I mean at a university, a teacher's college, or a community college. And you must have done the majority of your secondary and tertiary education in Jamaica or the Bahamas. If it is that you are Jamaican or Bahamian, but you did most of your secondary and tertiary education in another country, you would have to apply for the program through that country.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. Okay, you said 20 to 35 years old. At 35 years old. So you mean at the time of applying, or how does it work, this 35? Let's say I apply and I'm 35, but when I'm going, I will be 36. Would that be a problem?
It would be ineligible, unfortunately. If you turn 36 by December of the academic year of your contract, you would be ineligible.
Ah, okay, okay. Yes. All right, so that is important to know.
Okay. But we haven't talked about the last and, well, I don't know if I would call it, maybe it's the most important criterion.
I was going to ask the question, the B1.
Yes, you must be able to speak French.
Oh, sorry.
You don't have to speak it fluently or perfectly, but you do have to speak it to a relatively advanced level. Do you want me to go into an explanation of that level right now?
Yes. What I want to know is, can you explain to the viewers what a B1 can do in French? Because some people don't know what A1, A2, B1 means. So can you give us an idea, please?
Right. So those levels, A1, A2, B1, B2, are categories within the DELF program, DELF. It stands for Diplôme d'études de langue française, or in English, Certificate in French Language Studies. Okay. A1 is the most basic level, and B2 is the most advanced level in the certificate of French language studies. There is another more advanced certificate, but that doesn't concern us right now. So basically, somebody who can speak to a B1 level can understand the main points of clear speech at relatively normal speed on familiar matters that they would regularly encounter in work, school, leisure, etc. They can deal with most situations likely to arise while traveling in the area where the language is spoken. And they can describe experiences, events, dreams, hopes, ambitions, and briefly give reasons and explanations for opinions and plans. Now, let me explain why these criteria, the ability to do these three things, are so important. First of all, well, two criteria. The second one, ability to deal with most situations likely to arise whilst traveling in the area where the language is spoken. Obviously, you'll be traveling to France, so you need to be able to deal with situations that will arise. You will find it necessary to deal with immigration, to open a bank account, rent accommodation. You will be a teacher in a classroom where you may have to do classroom management in French because your students may not yet speak enough English to understand your instructions in English. And when you come to interview for the program, part of the interview is done in French and part is done in English. And for the part that is done in French, you have to be able to describe your past travel and work experience and your plans for after the program. So that is why, in French, right. So that is why the B1 level is required.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The picture of a B1 for me is the one with this, his or her suitcase, traveling and going to hotels, asking for, booking, doing all their things on their own. So you have to remember, you have to be independent, okay? So
Yes.
B1, you are supposed to be independent, where you
Independence,
don't
yes.
have to, sorry, every minute, okay?
Yeah. And it's
So,
not just a matter of memorizing the key questions to ask when you get to the reception desk at the hotel. You have to be able to respond to unexpected questions you have not memorized. You know what I mean? You have to be able to improvise your responses. Yeah. So I would say that somebody who has a grade 1 in CSEC or a pass in CAPE should be able to manage it just about. The difficulty being that even though in CSEC and CAPE, the grammar content and the writing content is very rigorous, when you go on this program, most of the time you'll be speaking. And that's one of the weaknesses of particularly the CSEC program. But at CAPE, you have to do a lot more speaking. So a pass in CAPE, I've seen people who come to interview with a pass in CAPE, and they do well enough, and they clearly can handle the program. If you are a university student, for example, at the University of the West Indies, B1 is the level that you would attain at the end of the first or the second year of the bachelor's degree program. If you study at a teacher's college, by the time you graduate from teacher's college, you should be at a B1 level.
okay.
So those are the kind of estimations that I would give.
All right. So now I have a little question for you, a piece of advice. Okay. So let's say we have students who probably come to us choosing an elective in French with absolute beginners. So obviously when they finish their first year of absolute beginners, they would not have reached B1. You agree with me? So what kind of advice can you provide or can you give to those students?
The first thing is, don't just do one elective course. Do as many as you can at your university that would take you up to the B1 level. So if it means that you're doing a 3-year course and you have to study French for all 3 years, if you can do that, do that. You could even consider doing a minor in French if your university offers that, because it not only gives you the linguistic knowledge, but it gives you the cultural knowledge, because you would have to do courses on culture and French for specific purposes. So it's not just grammar and reading comprehension. If you cannot take French any further at your university, because some universities only offer a beginner's course or they only offer it for 1 year, you could consider taking private lessons or group lessons at an institution like the Alliance Française de la Jamaïque. Or if you know your old high school French teacher who speaks French to an advanced level and understands the DELF program, that person could help you prepare also. Doing Duolingo on your own will not get you there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And you could, one way to get yourself to do it is to set yourself the goal of actually sitting the DELF B1 exam, which is offered through the Alliance Française. And then you would know exactly where you are. And you would have, when you come time to apply, you can actually put on your application your certificate that says you have B1 level French. That certificate is not compulsory, but it's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you haven't talked about any salary. So are we going there? Working 12 hours for nothing?
Well, you are only working 12 hours. So realistically, you can't expect to be paid a great sum of money. For the fact that you are only working 12 hours, you're actually being paid reasonably well. But it's not the kind of salary that's going to allow you to save for your house. It's going to allow you to pay your rent, buy your food, And perhaps if you spend your money wisely, do a little traveling. So the French government pays you a monthly salary of in the region of 1,000 euros per month before tax. And after tax, yes, you do have to pay tax. After tax, that would come up to about 800 euros.
Can you claim back the taxes?
No. But because you pay the taxes, you have access to certain services.
Yeah.
So, for example, you have access to Social Security.
Yeah.
You have access to an institution called the Caisse d'Allocation Familiale.
Yeah.
CAF for short. And CAF helps people pay their rent. So if your rent comes up to more than a certain percentage of your salary, then CAF will give you a subsidy towards your rent. And pretty much every assistant can benefit from that. So that is one of the things that makes the program quite manageable and affordable.
I have a video on CAF. So you can look at it if you're interested. I suppose as well that you will need to have visas, right?
Right. So you would need to apply for what we call a long stay visa, which serves as a residence permit. The code for it is VLSTS, Visa Long Séjour Valant de Titre de Séjour. You would apply for that here in Jamaica. Well, you start the application online on francevisas.com or .fr, I'm not sure, but if you Google France Visas, it will take you to the site. You start your application there, you indicate the purpose of your travel, you indicate the type of visa you're applying for, you give them the documentation they require, and then you would get an appointment with an organization called VFS Global, which is based here in Jamaica. I believe their office is in New Kingston. So you would give VFS Global your passport. They would then send your passport to Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. would issue your visa and send it back to VFS in Jamaica, where you would collect it with your visa.
Okay. All right. So let's say I've applied, I'm successful. Who is going to pay for my trip, for example? Are they going to pay for my trip, or do I have to pay for my trip?
Pay your own airfare. You do pay your own airfare. And you also need to travel with a little bit of money in your pocket because, like anywhere, it takes a little time for paperwork to get done. So when you arrive in France and you set up your bank account and all of that stuff and do your paperwork with the government, it takes a month or two before they pay you your first salary. So you need to have enough money to survive for a month or two. I mean, some people get paid very quickly, but some people wait up to 2 months. So you need to have enough money to survive, to be able to pay your deposits on your apartment, for example, until you get your first salary.
I suppose that makes sense because when you arrive, you haven't worked yet, so in any case you'll have to wait for a month before you get paid.
Yeah.
And if they're a bit late in doing that, then it makes it 2 months. So I understand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you say something about? I mean, I don't want to go into religion, but you know that obviously in France, we can work on a Saturday morning. So can you say a few words about that, please?
So the French school schedule is a bit different from Jamaica. So there are some schools that have classes from Mondays to Fridays like we do, although they have long school days. They start from 8 o'clock in the morning and finish at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which is very interesting. But some schools work on a system where they have half day on a Wednesday, and to make up for the time, they have a half day on a Saturday.
That's what I used to have. Yeah.
Okay. The school
And
that
in
I
my
taught at,
days, it was Thursday.
oh,
And then
sorry.
they changed it into Wednesday. But I don't want to say too much before they figure out my age. But
Well, I mean, here in Jamaica, they used to say that downtown close half day on a Wednesday and uptown close half day on a Thursday. I don't know if they still do that. Up front, when you apply for the program, they ask you if you will be willing to teach on a Saturday, because they cannot guarantee you that you'll get placed in a school that doesn't have Saturday classes.
okay. All right. So now we're going to move onto the application section. So how do you apply if you're interested?
Okay. Applications are done online only. Okay. It makes my life easier, trust me. In the past, you had to
Yeah, we used to
download a form,
photocopy
fill it
and
out,
yeah,
photocopy it. Yeah.
it's true. It's true.
So the online application platform is called Adele, like the singer, right? I don't know how they came up with that name, but it's easy to remember. Adele. And the link to Adele can be found on the the website of the French Embassy in Jamaica.
Okay.
So on the French Embassy website, there is all the information on the eligibility criteria, the supporting documents that you need, and there's the link to Adele. So you click on Adele, you click on the link to Adele, you're taken to a homepage, and Adele is actually used by the applicant assistants who are applying. It's used by teachers who are evaluating assistants. It is used by partners who are local recruiters like me. It is used by institutions who are sending and receiving. So you will see those 4 categories. You would click on teacher, on assistant. You would become an assistant. Don't click on teacher. You would click on become an assistant. That's the first column. And then it will take you through a series of steps where you click that you want to create an account. You create an account. And once you create an account, then you would log into the Adele platform, and the application form would come up, and it has several sections. So you would have to put in your personal information, like your biographical data, name, date of birth, address, phone number, your emergency contact. Then you would have to input, the second section is your educational background, where you would have to provide proof that you have completed at least 2 years of tertiary studies. You would have to put a record of your secondary education as well. You would also have to indicate your native language and your level of French. The third section, you would select what region of France you want to go to. The fourth section, you would invite a teacher to evaluate you. Like any application, you need a recommendation, right? But the recommendation is done on the platform. So you would invite your teacher to go onto the platform and write your recommendation, as opposed to asking them to write a letter. The last section is your personal strengths. So you would write about your hobbies, your special skills. If you've done tutoring, if you've been in a club, if you play an instrument, if you do a sport, if you know how to use different software, Microsoft Office, whatever it is. And then you have to upload your cover letter in English and in French.
Without done by AI.
Pardon me?
Without done by AI.
Without being done by AI. And believe me, it's obvious when AI does it. So don't even try. It's better to submit a flawed letter that has obviously been written by you than to fake it. The other thing is that you have to be able to upload your transcript in your educational. So you in the education section, you either have to upload proof of registration if you are currently a student, and then you have to upload a copy of your most recent transcript. Or if you have already finished your studies, you can upload a copy of your degree or diploma.
Okay. All right. So, how do you come about choosing the area you want to work?
Ah.
Mm.
Well, they're going to ask you two things on the application form. They're going to ask you what level you want to teach at, primary level or secondary level, right? And then they're going to ask you to choose 3 regions, and the regions are called academy, like academy, right? It's education, right? So an academy is just a geographic region. The academy will bear the name of the largest city in that region. But when you choose that academy, it doesn't mean you're choosing that city. It just means that you're choosing to be placed anywhere in that region, right? And you have to select 3. So you indicate which one is your first choice, which one is your second choice, and which one is your third choice. So on the platform, there is what they call a fiche pays. I don't even know how to translate it. A country profile, basically. So it will show you the map of France, and it will show you where the different regions are, and it will show you the regions, the academies are grouped. So you cannot choose 2 academy from the same group as your first choice, for example. So you have to choose 3 academy from 3 different groups. How are you going to know where you want to go? That's entirely up to you. It might be a place that you learned about in school that you found fascinating, that you might want to go and live there. You could ask people who have been to France which areas they liked. You could ask a past assistant what area did they like. Personally, I recommend Nantes. You can do some research on the internet. Some people try to choose based on the weather. No, that's a tricky one. Some people say they want to go to the south of France because they think it's warm. Now, the south of France, if it is the southeast, like Grenoble, that's actually very cold because it's in the mountains, it's in the Alps. So if you're looking for warmth, be very careful when you look south. Check the climate information. And even if it is on the Mediterranean, which is the warmest it gets in France, all that means is it's warmer than the north. It's not Jamaica kind of warm. But if you're looking for warmth, you could go to Martinique, Guadeloupe, or French Guyana. A lot of people say, oh, but I want to go to France. Martinique, Guadeloupe, and French Guyana are France. They are a part of France. And they have the dual benefit of also being part of the Caribbean. So it gives you a very special experience. It gives you a French experience, and it gives you a taste of what the Caribbean à la française is like.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about the selection process. What exactly are you looking for in the candidate?
Okay. So a successful candidate should be able to demonstrate adaptability, because you're going to go to a strange place. You need to be able to adjust to the unknown. You need to be able to respond to a crisis that might come up. Suppose you arrive and a pickpocket grabs your bag in the train station. It's entirely possible. So you need to be able to deal with those kinds of situations. Related to that is independence. You're going to go to live on your own, right? So you can't be the kind of person who's going to call mommy every 5 minutes. What should I do? Right? We're looking for sociability. You're going to teach. So you have to be able to bond with your students. Your students have to feel connected to you. It doesn't mean that you have to be the greatest extrovert, right? You can be an introvert and still connect with your students. It just means that try not to be the Grinch. We are looking for maturity, a sense of responsibility, because of course you are going to be responsible for children. You're going to be representing your country. We are looking for teaching experience if you have it, but if you don't, we're looking for experience having led a group. If you can show that you've led a group, or that you've worked with young people in some capacity, maybe as a camp counselor or a Sunday school teacher or a tutor, things like that, those would help your application. Of course, we are looking for the required level of French, and we are obligated to turn you down if you don't meet the French requirement, because we would be doing you a disservice to send you to France if you can't handle day-to-day life in French. We are also looking at your ability to speak English, because you're going to teach English. So we need to make sure that you can teach them the correct English, right? Well, we all understand that everybody has a different accent. But yeah, we need to be verify that you know how to make the subject agree with the verb and so on and so forth. And finally, we're looking at your motivation. We want to see that you have a good reason for wanting to go on the program and a clear idea of how the program would benefit your future career and your country. So those are the main things we're looking for.
So you don't have to be, you don't need to be studying to become a French teacher, for example.
No, you don't have to be a trained teacher. You don't have to be a teacher in training. You don't have to be a French major. You don't have to be a humanities major. We have had doctors, lawyers, engineers. We've had people with those backgrounds go on the program and have done very well. And what they came to the table with, they had their tertiary education. They
had
demonstrated maturity. They had their French. They demonstrated the maturity. They could speak French, and they demonstrated that they had a leadership position. They had to plan activities and so on. So it didn't matter that they had never taught before.
Okay. So, Soyini, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to apply now and who is a bit worried about the interview, since you said that the interview will be in French?
Well, start brushing up on your French. If you did it a few years ago, take out the book, start revising. And it's not enough to take out the book and start revising, because it's going to be an oral interview. You need to practice speaking. So get with your old French teacher and start talking. Get with your old classmates and start talking. The Alliance Française has language exchange sessions once a month where you can go and speak whatever language you want to speak. So you can go there and practice with somebody. There are apps that you can use on your phone. I know of one called Tandem, which would pair you with somebody who speaks French and wants to learn English. And so you exchange each other's language. You teach each other's language. You converse in each other's languages. Once you are given an interview, date and time, you are also sent an interview guide, which gives you an idea of what kinds of things we would ask you in the interview. Read it and prepare your answers to certain key questions. It looks very bad if you come to an interview and everybody on the panel knows that you have been given beforehand the questions that are going to be asked and you don't know how to answer. So so we do everything to help you to prepare. And also think in advance about what kinds of activities you could do with your students. Even if you have never taught before, you could ask somebody who has taught before, or you could do research on the internet. Just come up with some simple ideas, some simple activities that you could do as a function of what level you would be teaching at. And that would demonstrate also your seriousness about the program.
Okay. All right. So let's say I am a successful candidate. So what happens from during the time between acceptance and departure?
So Once you are accepted, you would be assigned to an academy. So the first information that would appear on your ADEL profile is your academy, which may be one of the 3 academy you chose, or it may be none of them, depending on how many spaces they have available where. So that's another reason why we look for adaptability. You need to be able to accept the cards that are dealt. So once your academy, you have been assigned to an academy, then the academy will assign you to a school, and that information will also appear on ADEL. You could be assigned to 1 school. Some people have been assigned to up to 3 schools. I heard of one person who worked at 5, but 3 is usually the maximum.
Wow.
Yes. But even if you're assigned to multiple schools, you will have a main school, and you will have, and at that school you will have a professeur référent, and that teacher is supposed to be your point of reference. And so that person's name will appear on ADEL, their name and contact information. So once that information comes up, contact them immediately, and you start building a relationship, asking whatever questions you have to ask. During the summer, before your contract begins the 1st of October, so during the summer, we tend to have orientation sessions, usually 3 or so, where we invite former assistants to come and speak to the new batch about how to handle specific situations. So they will brief you on how to find accommodation, how to book your airline tickets, which airlines are the most affordable, which routes to take. They'll give you tips on how to apply for the visa, ideas of what you should pack, tips on how to open a bank account, get a French phone number, apply for health insurance. And we also have a session on teaching ideas. So, I mean, again, if you've never taught before, yeah, we're gonna help you. Yeah. And then during the summer, you will also receive on ADEL something called an arrêté de nomination, which is essentially your job contract. And the job contract will stipulate which schools you're assigned to, and you will need it to apply for your visa. Okay. You will also need to apply for a bank account when you get to France.
And then talking about bank accounts, you can go on French Action to watch those videos, you know, how to open a bank account in French. So having the right vocabulary, very important. And also for renting an accommodation, you know, that you're going to have to do an état des lieux. For example, you have to sign a contract. Okay, what we call more like a lease, you know, so you have to know the vocabulary before you go there. Will be very helpful. So that's the reason why I prepared those videos, is to help the students, the candidates with this. I say students, but some of them work already.
Yes,
no other students.
Student. What they say is you have to be a jeune diplômé, as in a recent graduate. But obviously, if it goes up to 35 and you graduated 10 years ago, you can still apply.
Yeah. So can you apply more than once?
Yes. You can, while you are in France serving your contract, you can apply for an immediate renewal. So that means that if you are accepted, you would then go back the next year. You would come home for the summer, make your visa application and so on, and then go back the next year. Or you can do your contract, come home, go about your business, a year or 2, 3, whatever number of years passes, and then you can apply again, but you would be applying as a new candidate again, rather than applying for renewal.
Okay.
And you can do the program up to 3 times.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Well, I think we have covered quite a few questions. So I'm just asking the viewers, if you have any questions for Soyini, please let us know in the comments. That's the time to ask any questions because, as I said before, she's the expert. So, Soyini, like me, you went through a similar program. Can you probably share your experience? Is there anything that you would like to tell us about where you went and how it, probably any tips?
Not.
No, okay, all right. We know it's not. So why
And
not?
to be honest, I don't know why I chose not. I didn't. I didn't have any. I didn't have a clue what I was looking for. I would say, God is good. He will place you where you need to go. I was
Okay,
actually,
excuse me, Soini. Just
yeah.
before you start,
Mhm.
we just got a comment from Dominic Stewart. He says,
Mhm.
I did 7 years of high school in Jamaica, but 4 years of university in the US. Do I still apply through the Jamaican application? Or I guess he's talking about Jamaican or
Interesting.
US, because
I suspect you would have to apply through the US
US,
because you did your university education in
in the
the
US.
US.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So Dominique, here's the question. Okay, another question. Will an interview be required for the visa? I don't
That
know.
I'm not sure. See, I'm not the perfect expert.
Yeah, but that has, well, the visa is something a little bit different from the actual program.
Program. And the rules have changed over the years, which is why when we do the orientation sessions, we ask the former assistants to do it, because what obtained when I was an assistant is
Different.
completely different. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you could do, pardon me,
Was it a motorbike?
there was a helicopter.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So what you could do, I think that's the name of the person asking the question. You can contact VFS Global. If you go to the French Embassy website and you look under the section, Become a Foreign Language Assistant in France, at the bottom of the page, they have a link that tells you where to go, how to get to VFS Global. And on the VFS Global webpage, they will have the contact information for the Jamaica office. So you could call them and ask them if there is an interview required and any other details you may want to know.
Yeah. Okay. So I have to say, that's a good question. I never thought about it because since it was done online, I didn't even think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I would find it strange that a country would issue a visa to a person that they've never laid eyes on, though. It sounds like it should. Travel insurance. Yes, you will need travel insurance. You can get travel insurance with your ticket. You do not necessarily need the kind of travel insurance that's going to cover you for your entire stay in France, because when you get to France, you will apply for Social Security and for supplemental insurance, which is called La Mutuelle. And that would work out cheaper for you than purchasing travel insurance to cover you for 7 months.
Yes. Okay, Ayoma, so you got the answers. Okay, well, I hope you will apply and all the best with that. Okay. All right, so sorry, Soini, I had to interrupt you. You were starting, you started to talk
Yes,
about your
start to
personal.
tell you my life story.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're not going too deep into it, but you said Nantes. What's particular about Nantes?
As I said, I don't know why I chose it, but when I got there, I chose the Academy of Nantes, and I was assigned to the city of Nantes, and I
Oh, okay,
found
so that helps as
that,
well.
yeah, and when you apply, they ask you not only what academy you would prefer and what educational level you prefer, they also ask you what type of environment you would prefer. So they'd ask you if you would prefer to be in a big city, a medium-sized city, or if you would prefer to be in a rural area. So I know I would prefer to be in a big city. So I think that's why they sent me to the city of Nantes.
Okay.
But the good thing about Nantes is it's a city, but it's not actually a big city. It was the perfect size. It wasn't too big. It wasn't too small. I think at the time it was about 500,000 people. And it was one of those cities that was voted, I think, the best city to live in Europe or something like that around that time.
Okay.
And I could see why. It was, and the weather was nice. It snowed in the winter early in the morning, but I never actually saw it because it snowed before I woke up. And it didn't snow enough for it to stay on the ground. But in the winter, the sun didn't rise until like 9 o'clock, and the sun would set at like 4 p.m. So I would go to work in the dark and come home in the dark. But you know, it wasn't too cold, even though it's not in the south, but it's coastal, so that kind of moderates the climate to a certain degree. And it's just lively with activity. I found I joined a Bible study. I joined a theater group. I performed in a French language play.
Wow.
I went to film festivals. I read lots of books from the library, the public libraries in France. Fantastic. And reading, of course, is a great way to improve your French rapidly. I sampled all kinds of different cuisines at different kinds of restaurants because it's cosmopolitan enough that it's not just French food. They had Vietnamese, Japanese, Italian, all those things. I discovered Domino's pizza with crème fraîche instead of tomato sauce, which is heavenly. I went to town on the cheese. Apart from a Roquefort, the cheese is great. Although I must admit, at one point I did kind of miss the tasty cheese. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, I met people from all over the world. My crew was a Franco-Senegalese girl, a Cameroonian girl, and a Cambodian girl. And of course, the only way we could communicate with each other was in French. So, and that, for anybody who goes on the program, that's the route to take. Make friends with Francophone people. Don't spend your time with English speakers. Yeah, what else can
now
I say?
I know why your French is so good. Okay. Good.
Yeah. I mean, I was a geography major actually, but I minored in French, and I always wanted to be able to speak French fluently. And at the end of the year, that goal was definitely attained. The first month that I was there, even after having studied French at university, and I heard the people speaking, all I heard was noise. I couldn't understand anything. And then after about a month, it was like a veil lifted, and I suddenly heard words. And everybody I know who's been to France describes having the same experience. But by the end of it, by the time I left, I was able to argue with the phone company because they did not honor part of their service contract. So that meant talking French very fast while angry, and while the other person is angry and talking to you very fast. So that is how much my French improved.
Yeah, that's very good. And how did you manage in the classroom with the... Were you in secondary school or primary school?
I was in secondary school, yes. That made my life a little bit easier. I think I would have been, and I chose secondary school because I knew.
Yeah.
Another helicopter.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
Yeah. I chose secondary school because I knew I wasn't the kind of person who was going to be able to come up with 1,000,001 games to play with the children. So I chose secondary school, and they enjoyed, I remember giving a talk to a class about the differences between Jamaica and France. And we, talked about the fact that in Jamaica, you can go up to anybody in the supermarket line and just have a conversation, and you can't do that in France. And there was one girl who put up her hand and said, no. In France, you can have a conversation with somebody at the bus stop about the weather. I said, really? Okay, that's interesting. But in Jamaica, a conversation about the weather would not be a very long conversation.
Yeah.
But I must admit that in my time, I was a little bit lost in terms of knowing what to do with my students, in terms of coming up with activities. The internet wasn't as replete with information back in the Stone Age when I did it. But we did have the internet. And I don't remember there being a session on teaching tips before I went to France. So I was kind of flying blind. So that was a little bit frustrating. But now, I mean, we have the orientation session on teaching tips. There are so many resources on the internet. I believe France Education International has also taken the initiative of putting together a repository of activities that assistants can do with their students. So I would do it again because I know it's going to be easier. I actually did try and apply a second time a few years after having come back.
And you went back?
No, I didn't. I don't remember why. Had I reached the age limit?
You were not successful.
I think I had passed the age limit. I think that was it.
All right. That's
and the upper age limit at that time was lower.
yeah. It used to be 30.
Yeah, it used to be 30. Yeah,
it used to be 30. So you see, you're lucky. I remember we did fight for it because we had some people who were good candidates, but unfortunately they had already turned 30 and they were going on to 31. And we did fight a little bit and said, there are quite a few of them who want to go, but they are in their 30s. So, and there's 1 year we were told 35, and I said, that's good. So, yeah. I've seen a question where it says, is there a limit to how many persons are chosen? Can you tell them the limit?
Each year, each country is given a quota. And that quota is usually decided based on the number of people the country managed to send the previous year. Somehow, this year, the quota for Jamaica is 40. So we can send up to 40 people. So apply. There's space.
40 is a good number because I think it was less than that before.
Yes, there have been years where we've only had 20, 25.
25, yeah. So 40 is very good, Yeah.
Ayo has asked, will I need health insurance?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. But health insurance, as I alluded to before, part of it is provided by La Sécurité Sociale, Social Security in France, and then you would also pay for supplementary insurance to cover what the Social Security may not fully cover. And as a person in the teaching profession, there are specific specific supplementary insurance plans that you have access to that are very affordable. So at the end of the day, you don't have to end up spending a lot either on insurance or on visiting the doctor or the hospital, but you do have to have health insurance.
And she also asked, when should I apply for the visa? As soon as I am accepted, or should I wait for the go-ahead?
You should apply for your visa when you get your arrêté de nomination, your job contract, because you need that to apply for your visa.
Yes, that's what you had mentioned earlier. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so guys, ready? I understand there's a meeting on Monday?
Yes, so tomorrow, Monday the 12th of May. Yes, at 7 p.m. via Zoom, we're going to have an information session. It's going to be very short, but we're going to have an assistant who just completed the program this year. She was actually selected by France Education International to be an assistant ambassador. So they actually you recruited her to help promote the program. So they sent her to different parts of France to talk about the program. And of course, she has been working very closely with me to help promote the program here. So she will be talking about her experience. And I will also be walking you through the application process. So I'll show you, for example, screenshots of the different websites that what you can expect to see. There on the French Embassy website, there is a link to register for the webinar. We ask you to register so that we can know how many people to expect. And it also gives you an opportunity to indicate whether or not you want to be added to our mailing list, so that if you are added to our mailing list, we can send you information in the future about when future recruitment campaigns are open. Because you may not necessarily be eligible right now, but maybe in the future. And the link, even if you don't register, the link to the webinar is also on the French Embassy webpage. And we will also talk about those who may not be eligible now, what you can do to prepare to apply in the future. So we invite you to venez nombreux à cette réunion. Come out in your numbers, learn about the program. If you are a student interested in going in the program, if you are a parent who has a child who may want to learn French, or you want them to learn French, you want them to go to France, students, parents, teachers, high school teachers, it's a good opportunity for you to learn more about the program, so you can tell your students about the program so that they can have something to look forward to, a reason to study French. And hopefully we will see more students registering for French in high schools and at universities.
Yes, and one thing I would like to say is that even if you're not 20 yet, you can still go, attend that meeting to see what you have to do, because as you said, you still have to prepare some money, because you have to pay for your trip, you have to pay for 2 months rent, and so on. So if you are 18 in 2 years' time, or 18, you will just be capped. But after you finish your degree, you can, because you already know everything there is to know, then it will be much easier for you to then apply. So don't wait till the last minute.
And I would say, even if you're in first form, you can join the webinar and learn about the program. You will hear the testimonial of the former assistant, and you'll get an idea of the value of the program, and see if it is something that might interest you in the future.
Yeah. Ayoma is asking a question which I would like to know too. Why there's an age limit?
Okay, well, there is a lower age limit because if you're going to teach in a high school, your students could be 18 or 19 years old. So we can't afford to send an 18 or 19-year-old to go and teach them. So you have to be older than them.
But what about the 35? Why not 40?
Right. No, the upper limit, I'm just guessing here. I don't have an official explanation from FEI, but I'm guessing there are a number of reasons. They try to keep it a program for young people because while they don't want you to be the same age as your students, they want you to be able to relate to your students. They don't want there to be too much of a generation gap. Although it's actually, for primary school especially, primary school students might sometimes relate even better to somebody who is a grandmother than somebody who is 25. But for a high school level kind of thing, I think it's to reduce the generation gap. I think another reason is because in France, there are certain benefits afforded to young people.
Yeah, that is
for example, there is when I was there, it was called the Carte 1225. I think it's now called the Carte Jeunesse or the Carte Jeune or something like that. Carte Jeune, which gives you discounts on train fare, bus fare.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that only goes up to what age?
20. It's under 30.
It's less than 30. It's under 30.
Yeah, it's 20. I think it's 26 or 27. But there again, you have to check because, things
changes.
change. You have a new government and new things, so you have to check that. Yeah.
Yeah. So having an upper limit kind of helps orient the program towards people who can benefit from those reductions, because again, the salary is not all that high, so it helps you to live more comfortably if you can take advantage of the Carte Jeune.
Yeah, I think as well that age limit may be necessary because we don't know how many people are going to apply. Because I remember 1 year where there were so many people to apply, we had to really be quite hard in terms of asking questions to select the right candidates. And if you have the age limit, it helps already with that,
Yes.
So Ayoma is asking, what if I can't get anywhere affordable to rent? We never had this problem, did we?
People.
I mean, it depends on where you go, because, for example, that's why I say to my students, don't ask for Paris, because
Paris is really
very expensive for sure. But what would you say to her?
Say that it is possible to find somewhere affordable to rent. It may not be easy or straightforward from the get-go, but you will find something. Because there's a possibility of colocation, which is sharing. You can rent an apartment with somebody. Some schools, not many, some schools do provide accommodation, so some people get lucky that way. There is also a residence called Habitat Jeune. When I was there, it was called the Foyer de Jeunes Travailleurs. And that's actually where I lived. Habitat Jeune, it's housing specifically designed for young workers. So it's comfortable accommodation, and it is at an affordable rate. So that would be one of the first places to look for if you will go on the program, I would say. There is, à la limite, the possibility of staying with a host family. People have done.
They have done that?
People have done it. Yeah, they've stayed with a family in exchange for, I guess, picking up the kids from school or whatever it is. But be careful about that, because you need to know what it is they're expecting from you, and if you are really able to fulfill it. What other accommodation options? I can't think of anything else in terms of accommodation. Ayo is asking, what is an estimate of how much money I will need to have saved for the first 2 to 3 months if you don't get paid right away? Good question.
In Jamaican dollars.
In Jamaican dollars. So It's roughly 1,000 to 1,500 euros. So, euros to Jamaican dollars.
Okay.
Let's look for the upper limit. The upper limit is 1,500. That's about 270,000 Jamaican dollars.
Okay, so let's say 300,000. Just to round it up.
Yeah. And if you put aside $10,000 a month for a year, you have half of it already. Nearly half of it.
Yeah.
If you get a summer job and put that money aside.
Work and travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's something which you plan for, you know,
Yes.
and if you do it, that's why I say to my students, you're not going to do it right now. You're only in first year or second year, but then I ask them to apply at the last year. So when it comes out in, well, before it was December, but now it tends to be a bit later. So yeah, when you apply, you finish with your you finish with your degree, and then off you go in September to a new destination. So that's very good. And you would have saved during that time. So yes, Ayo, you only have 4 months to save. Yes, if you hadn't planned for that, yes.
Take the applications
We
for the
can't
work.
hear you, Soyini. Can you repeat it? I couldn't hear you.
No, I said I don't know at what point they take applications for work and travel.
I think they've already started.
Sorry?
They've already started. Some of my students are already.
I've already gone, yeah. And the thing about work and travel for the summer is that it makes it complicated to get your visa, because you're supposed to be in Jamaica to get your visa. But there may be ways to work around that. So for Ayo, in terms of having 4 months to save, if you have a family friend, a relative who is willing to sponsor you some of it, get a summer job of whatever kind you can get. Or worst case scenario, apply next year.
Next year. Then you will be better prepared.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to send an email. Okay. Sorry, it's.
I think you need to edit that.
Yes, I'm going to delete the comments. First, I'm just going to just try to see if you can have. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Let's see. Okay. So this is an email so that you can contact Soyini. Okay. Is that correct, Soyini? Is that the email?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way to remember it is TAPIF, and then Jam for Jamaica,
and
Ba for the Bahamas. Yes.
All right.
And I'm going to also put something here. Well, I'll send it to you.
Okay. So are you saying I've already gotten through, just asking more questions while I wait for my contract to apply for the visa? Oh, so you already have, you're already there. So that's
okay.
Good.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the person has a cryptic name, so I don't know who it is talking to.
Okay.
So I'm going to send you the link to the info page.
So if you have any further questions, please ask them now. Otherwise, don't forget there's this meeting at 7 o'clock Jamaican time tomorrow. Okay, on the Zoom link. Okay, that's through Zoom, Soyini, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Yeah. So what I'm going to send you now is the link to info page on the embassy website. Okay. So let me do that now. Is that right, Soyini?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Again, TAPIF Jamba.
Okay.
And one more piece of information.
What are you going to send now?
The information for the webinar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So I can only have the, okay, let's see if I can manage everything. Yes, let's try that first. Yes, it worked. All right. So here are the information for tomorrow. So if you have any further questions and you say, oh gosh, I forgot to ask them. So think about tomorrow, and that will be your last chance tomorrow. Well, Soyini, I think I have to thank you very much. Unless you have something to say, Soyini, go ahead.
On the registration form, you can ask, you can specify if there is a specific question you want answered. If there was a question you had that you forgot to ask today or something that I didn't answer today, you can always put that on the registration form and I will prepare to respond tomorrow.
Okay, so that helps so that you can be sure that you have an answer. Okay. So Soyini, thank you very much for this. Okay. I think it's very clear, very, very clear. So I have no question to ask you because it was so clear. Yes, 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 very clear. I'm sure that the viewers agree with me. And I wanted to thank you to spend this time with us, especially on Mother's Day. So
I thank you for accepting to do dinner later in the evening.
okay. All
and
right.
thank you so much for having me. Thank you for giving me this
welcome.
an opportunity to share about this wonderful program.
And we need more Jamaicans and more people from the Bahamas to go to this program. Because if you don't go, the French are going to say, oh, well, nobody wants to go. Then it means we don't need 40 people to go. So they're going to reduce. And one day there will be no more programs. That's how it works. So you have to be very careful. We have to make sure that we still get that program going. It's been going on for how many years? I mean, when I came to Jamaica, it was already there. So it's been going for a long time. Okay. So Soyini, I'm going to say goodbye to you. Merci beaucoup. And
Merci
I'll see you
à
on
toi.
Monday. I'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday.
Okay.
Bon
Au revoir.
après-midi.
Merci beaucoup to everyone who joined in. Okay. And if you have anything to add, please add it in the comment below, or as we said, tomorrow, if you can attend that meeting. All right. Au revoir. Au revoir, Soyini.